things that the Tea Party has always done is figure out how it tries to amplify through, if you will, this idea of some element of organization that could get people elected. There's been a lot of talk about a third party, and regrettably, all too often, you as the media participating in perhaps fomenting the idea that a third party would siphon off votes from the Republicans and thereby institutionalize the liberal agenda. The reality is the Tea Party is not one individual. It's a group collaborating across states, across counties, across cities, each by themselves adopting to the necessary skills, the necessary reviews, and of course ultimately supporting the necessary people that they will elect and for whom they'll be governed. As I shared earlier this morning, President Obama regrettably told us not to pay attention to Fox News and CNN. He told the Democrats to go ahead using reconciliation to bypass what the American people have clearly said they are against. Our government has got to stop not listening to us. People are angry about that. This is a representative government. The majority today is not being heard. And so we decided to create a way in which we could participate in that exchange. Today I'm glad to announce that we have incorporated the Ensuring Liberty Corporation. It's a 501c4. We will be establishing the Ensuring Liberty PAC subsequent to that. This PAC and the corporation itself will be used to organize, to raise funds, to be able to allow us to establish the workings and the competencies necessary to support candidates across the country. Essentially, this is first principles restored. Now, what Ensuring Liberty Corporation is going to do is allow people in the Tea Party movement to participate with their skills, their competencies. Remember, this is a part-time movement. We all have day jobs. The Ensuring Liberty PAC will allow people from around the country, perhaps in districts that are not competitive, to contribute their skills, contribute their time, figure out what's going on in the locations, and ultimately contribute money that will be used to fund numerous races across the country. Beginning in 2010, we will identify 15 or 20 key races where, based on the assemblance of first principles of less government, fiscal responsibility, lower taxes, states' rights, and ultimately national security, that if they will embrace those ideas, not as a litmus test, but as a sense of where we are as a movement, and we will help them not only through the financial auspices of Ensuring Liberty Corporation and its affiliated PAC, but we will also provide them with the ability to use our candidate development resources, the consulting services, the overall campaign management, some of the things that we've seen happen in Massachusetts and recently in Illinois. The idea is essentially to act as ferocious as we are about our government being fiscally responsible as we will about our political process. Corporation is established in Memphis, Tennessee, not New York, not Washington, not K Street. We will be bound by a board and use GAAP. Yes, that's right, generally agreed accounting principles. We will not use our money to get paybacks to fund our efforts. We will in fact engage competent people, former K Street people, competent people who manage campaigns to ultimately drive the benefit of an overall concerted effort, essentially systematizing, if you will, the campaign process and help elect conservatives who reflect those first principles. Again, it is not a litmus test. We're not requesting them to support purely the Republican platform. This is a way by which people who have worked so hard thus far at the rallies, whose voices have not been heard, will be able to participate with their talents and their treasures and ultimately assure that these people are elected. And as an organization, as business people coming together, we'll ensure that they in fact are held accountable. For if they wish to be funded and helped to secure the benefits and the competency of Ensuring Liberty, then we will expect them to caucus in Congress and to vote along those principles. Not in the sense of an authoritarian model, but to ask them, to recommend to them that they work together to ensure that conservative principles of less government, fiscal responsibility, lower taxes, and the liberty that we seek at the local level in conjunction with our national security are absolutely the forefront of their actions. We have a president today who has presented a $3.9 trillion budget with a $1.6 trillion expected deficit. 60% of all job formation in this country comes from companies in business 0 to 5 years. They are starved for capital. We need to push the benefit back to the people who are making decisions and to ensure that these first principles are identified. So Ensuring Liberty Corporation will act as a vehicle by which people who have donated millions of dollars across the country, perhaps to other races such as Scott Brown and New York 23, can actually assemble in a competent, clearly articulated strategy to elect conservatives to represent them at the national level. In fact, here in Tennessee, in West Tennessee, in fact, we've got 6 different races that are in contention. We have District 1 in Mississippi, with Chambliss being a freshman congressman. We have District 1 in Arkansas, where we have retirement of Marion Barry. We have Blanche Lincoln, the senator, who's in trouble. We have the retirement of Warden and Tanner in West Tennessee's District 6 and 8. And we have District 9, we have a candidate contending for a largely Democratic district. We're not attempting to replace the RNC. We're not attempting to co-opt the RNC. We are providing a way in which there are perhaps not the competencies established, that we can provide the consulting and the direction for people who wish to animate, motivate, recruit, and elect people who will represent their best interests. And we will do that in a systematic way, with transparency that is obviously lacking in too much of the political process today. And in conjunction with that, I'm also proud to announce that we are establishing a new technology approach with the group Win by Sell. I've been working with this group out of California to allow us to go ahead and engage, not in the simple PayPal, press the button, donate, not in the simple send your check and a form letter, but to allow people to hear messages, to identify content, and using a feature called voice blogging, which will allow them to establish feedback mechanisms through the technology, using nothing more than their cell phone. And then if they wish to donate their talents, or perhaps participate in some other way with respect to funding, they will get a personal call. They will get a personal conversation with somebody who understands and shares their values and assures them that ultimately their efforts are rewarded. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very pleased to say that while this is not the only way that the Tea Party movement can progress and mature, this is one way that we believe we can seek together the approach to counter, if you will, the fragmentation that exists today, to enliven, if you will, the political discourse through a concerted effort of supportive candidates, and ultimately to hold them accountable in the elected process so that they are, in fact, we the people, beholding to the people, and not become part of the problem that we see so often in the dire partisanship of Washington. I'm not a politician. I'm a guy who works a day job. I happen to believe in my country, as I said before, coming from Yugoslavia and Poland as immigrants. I'm a third-generation American. I'm not a Polish American. I'm not a Yugoslavian American. I'm an American first. I understand the value of this country. I understand the frustration of the movement. And while there will be differences of opinion, to be sure, and while there will be those who perhaps would suggest that this approach is opposed to their core principles, we simply say, find another way. We invite, however, those who wish to join us through the Ensuring Liberty Corporation, its affiliated PAC, and ultimately the efforts that we have to undertake to take our country back. Very pleased to take any questions that you might have at this time.
Sir, would the PAC take money from lobbyists and big corporations, soft money?
Primarily, we're appealing to small donors, much like our president did. However, clearly the opportunity to take money from corporations, this is a democracy. We shall do so.
There's one question from over here.
Yes, young lady. We have a couple of young bloggers in the audience.